Debatable.
It's a great game.
It's a very
I
debatable
think
game.
it's a great game though.
Yeah. So what essentially started this was I a video popped up in my recommended, um, and it was let me find it. It was this guy named Solar Flare. He uploaded a video. It's called "Waiting for Your Destiny Raid Team to Get Online While You Slowly Fall Asleep on a Quiet 2014 Night." That's a long title, but it. I mean, he really what it is it's just like a video of him, uh, just like it's like a couch and there's a TV and Destiny's on the TV and it's just like the music, like it's not like actually like it kind of looks, it's not fake, but I don't know. But I think what got me the most, like the music, brought me back, but what got me the most is I was reading the comments and realizing like how much this game changed people's lives. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And what I also found interesting, I've actually seen this on some like Lord of the Rings videos, maybe not Lord of the Rings, I don't remember what it was. But there are people who found this music, this video, they had never played Destiny before, and they say in the comments dude, they were like, dude, I've been reading all your comments, guys, and I missed out. Like I feel like I missed out of something big, and they were like congratulating people for like having such a neat experience. They were just like taken aback by like all, because seriously, it's like how many comments are there? It's like 16,000 comments, and all of them are just like people talking about like their experience with the game, and it's insane, dude. Like it's so crazy.
Wait.
Yeah, I was gonna pick up Destiny 2, but like because I remember playing like the the pre-order stuff where you like played the multiplayer and you had like a select few weapons, and I was like, oh, this is kind of weird, and then I just never kept playing. But then I don't remember who it was. It was either my cousin or you, Justin, and you were like, hey, you should play Destiny 1. And so like I borrowed it from my cousin, like started playing through it and stuff. And this was like 2-3 years ago. So like behind where like 3 years after the game has been released and Destiny 2 was released and everything. So like I was experiencing everything later, but we'll get more into it, but I just like that was like having that first experience of like you waking up in Destiny 1 where you just wake up and you're like there and like it's like a post-apocalyptic world and you're just
Mm-hmm.
right next to like some
Yeah,
cars.
the Cosmodrome.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that first level, that introductory level in Destiny 1, is still one of my favorites of all time.
Actually,
It's
me
so
too.
fun.
It's so iconic,
Oh, yeah, totally.
at least to me.
There's only a few other levels in like all of Destiny that I think can compare to that. It's like the first level, the level where you meet the hive and like the
Ooh.
music starts playing.
Ooh.
You're
Oh,
just like terrified. And in Destiny 2, the Prison of Elders mission, like that one was
oh
iconic.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
the
Yeah.
fact that you're fighting like in this prison, crazy things are happening, and Cade's there like blasting everything, just having a great time.
I know. So what happened? I guess like how I found out Destiny was my grandma, my uncle. Yeah, sorry, my uncle had moved down to St. George, and he's a lot like me. I'm pretty similar to him, and he was a gamer, and I remember like playing games at their house and with him, and he was the fun uncle. He's awesome, and he moved away, but he was subscribed to Game Informer, and I didn't know that. My grandma, we were at their house one day, and she walks up to me and she's like, so your uncle is subscribed to this thing, and we keep getting these magazines, but you know we don't want to look at them, so we'll just give them to you, and maybe he'll finally switch his address or whatever. So this, I have it right here. I'll put a picture up on the actual like podcast, but this is the original Game Informer, Destiny magazine, and
Ooh.
seriously, like just looking at this thing as a little kid, like just like this could have sold the game to me by itself. I didn't have to look at anything else. I was like, "Oh my gosh, this looks insane!" And the back too had the ships flying, all this stuff. It just captured my attention because it's like just the word Destiny was like it just made your mind wonder, just go all over the place about what could happen. Like I didn't know what this game was. I just saw these sicko dudes with sicko guns with a sicko title with the sicko art style. Like it was awesome. And I remember like flipping through. I didn't care about anything else. I was trying to find the Destiny stuff, and they have a whole big section on it. Got this like little. Sorry if the magazine noises are picking up, but they've got this little cover of Mars. And I think one of my favorite parts is where they talk about all the enemies. So on this page right here, you can see it. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see, but you can see they're talking about the Hive, the Cabal, and they're just. I remember reading those and just being so intrigued. I think the Fallen were one of my favorites because they were just like these scavengers, and I was like, well, what are they? And the Vex were cool. I honestly, the Cabal are my least favorite. They're not that cool. They're
Just
I think that's the
chunky.
general consensus.
Yeah.
They're
just kinda
chunky
lame.
guys.
Honestly, I think the Hive might be my favorite of all the alien races. Just like they're so creepy and so otherworldly. It's just
Dude.
and that first
when you
mission
first-
when you first see them,
Yeah. When
It's
you
so
first have, like,
scary.
Brawls.
Dude, it's
I
the
never
music
got
is
that.
like it's like all creepy. It's like scratching on a chalkboard and everything, and then all of a sudden it like drops, and then this like rock music starts going off. It's like, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm going to die. I loved in the first mission when you picked up the assault rifle, the Kvostov,
Yeah.
and it had like a crack
Yeah.
through the sight and everything, and you were like, dang, this is an old gun.
I know. I love the Kvostov.
I remember playing through it the first time and like taking photos of my armor and sending it to you, Justin, being like, look at this cape. I'm camouflage.
Oh, of course Nick would like that.
I did. Really did.
I also remember the first trailer for the game. Oh my gosh. I got
is that the one where it's like live action? And
Yes.
just, like,
Yes.
yeah, I remember that
Yeah,
one.
I remember that. Okay, yeah.
I remember like
That was really cool.
once I saw this freaking magazine, dude, I was all in. I was looking for stuff, and the trailer came out, and it was the coolest thing because they were just like having fun. Like they were in the game, but they were just like having fun. And like the Titan shoots Galahorn at the freaking like Hive gate, and they all start pouring out, and they use their supers to take them all out. It's such a sick trailer. And then they put Immigrant Song over it. Ooh. I gotta put a link, dude. It's so awesome. And to be honest, that I think I don't know. I want to get into comparing D2 to D1 later, but just I feel like the magic of the first game was like the mystery, which like
I completely agree, actually.
yeah, cuz it's like obviously playing a game and more games come out, you're going to find out stuff. Like Breath of the Wild, you find out what happened 100 years ago, but you're still living in the world where it's just like the stuff already happened. The story already happened. You're just living in the world where like the effects have been in place forever and this is how people live now. And yeah, sure you find out the mystery, but it's still like intriguing to see this broken down world and then just be like, what the heck happened? Like, what is going on? I love Venus. I love Venus so much. Going there and seeing all like the broken buildings. It's just like people lived here, man. Where did they go? Like what happened? It's so crazy.
So actually, a thought I had while thinking about this was some of the expansions for Destiny 1. I remember as the expansions were coming out, I kept getting excited for the game over and over again. But in my opinion, I think none of them can compare to Taken King. The Taken King
Yep.
was my favorite by far.
And I think that's the same for Forsaken with Destiny 2.
Oh, Forsaken,
Oh,
dude.
yeah.
Oh man.
It's like they have like these tiny updates, and then it gets to like one big update that gets everybody back into the game that like
Yeah.
kind of got bored and started. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's two mini expansions in the beginning. Then they've got their really big one, and then they've got another big one. Usually
Yeah.
Yeah. And usually the next biggest one isn't as like huge. It's still big. Like
yeah.
I don't know. That's
Rise of
what
Iron?
like
Because
so,
I never played Is it Rise of Iron?
I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rise of Iron.
I never played that one.
It was all right, honestly,
It's
but
good. I like
none
it.
of them can compare to Taken King. Just that
Yeah.
fight with Oryx at the very
Freaking
end.
swords, dude.
The swords.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And
Dude,
I
when
remember
they announced swords, dude, that was like,
yeah, dude.
oh,
The
mind
swords were
blowing.
so sick. I remember like playing through the game, and I had a couple buddies I played with, and I remember doing Vault of Glass for the first time. And I think out of every, like, obviously it's my favorite raid, but out of like every like location, it's the most interesting to me. And that is like why I think D1 is better than D2, is just because yeah, like you're exploring the Vault of Glass and you beat the guy, but you still don't know anything about it. You're like it could still be a threat, you know? It's like, or maybe it's not a threat. Maybe it's a benefit for the Guardians. Like, who knows? It's what is its purpose? And you hear about like the story of the fire team that went in there before you guys, because I mean, obviously everyone gets to play the raid, but it's kind of set up to be like your fire team was after this other raid team that already went in there. And you hear about Kabir, who was the Titan in the group, and this, I forgot what the hunter's name is, but he like they built Vex armor. They built like Guardian armor out of Vex, like bought like broken bodies or metals or whatever, and it started like controlling their minds, and they went insane. And there's like a secret location in the Vault of Glass called Kabir's Labyrinth or something like that, and it's like you can just go explore that whole place, but it's not even part of the like the main raid. You can just go. You have to like do some jumping puzzles, and then you're in Kabir's Labyrinth. And he also built the shield of, what is it called? The shield of Aethys. And that shield is how you beat one of the bosses in the raid. So the effects from the fire team before were in place and allowed you to beat the Vault of Glass, but they had to make a sacrifice, which I think it's just so cool. Like, and there's so many other locations like that in the game.
yeah, I did the first vault. I did the first Vault of Glass raid for me was after I'd already played Destiny 2 and I'd played some other raids and stuff. And for one thing, I think that Destiny 2 did better than Destiny 1 was the raid like revives. Now you can get revived like once
Yeah.
or like over time or whatever. Like, because I was dying constantly in Vault of Glass. And so I'd just sit there and be like, well, now I'm here.
You were also super
I
low
don't think-
level.
I was also low level.
I don't think I ever actually finished any of those raids. I tried doing Vault of Glass by myself because I didn't know you needed multiple people to do them. And so I didn't get very far, and that kind of ruined that experience for me.
Well,
But I do remember doing Crota's End with Tanner and Josh. We never got very far, but it was fun to just fail over and over again.
yeah. So the big thing, in my opinion, of what Destiny is it's a multiplayer game. It's not like, of course, it's a campaign, but like the campaign, in like compared to other like single player games, is like short. It's definitely supposed to be like a multiplayer game where you play with all your friends. But the problem is I didn't have a lot of people that played Destiny. I had Connor, Tanner, Josh, and then my brother. But at the time when I had Destiny 1, he's the one who got me into it. And so I would use his PS4 because it was at our house before I got one. And so I would I don't think I ever did any raids in Destiny 1. I think I've only done one raid in Destiny 2. That for a big part for me is just when you have people to do it with, it gets that's when I think you reach the peak of Destiny.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And that's the worst thing. I still remember Sunday nights. All of us PS4 guys would get on to Destiny 2 and try to do that whatever that one raid was.
Yeah.
That golden ship in the sky.
Leviathan.
The
Leviathan.
Leviathan raid.
Sorry.
Oh man.
That raid.
And
The amount
they
of
could never figure out how to
I
do
had
it.
to do. I've
How
carried
do you
a
actually do
lot
that?
of raid
'Cause
groups through that. Oh,
we
it's
could
so
never
hard.
figure out how to actually win that raid.
It's not that we never
there's
figured
a
it out.
lot of stuff in it, but
We just never actually played enough to do it.
yeah.
We actually got everyone online like once, and
Yeah.
then never happened again.
Which is too bad. I haven't played Destiny 2 since.
Yeah.
Wish it was crossplay and then we
Dude,
could get raid
crossplay.
night.
Actually be amazing.
I would play Leviathan if it was crossplay, but other than that, I want to throw that raid into the trash.
Okay.
They're actually getting rid of Leviathan, all
Really?
of the Leviathan raids,
Better.
because of they're reworking everything in the game, which is another gripe. But we'll get to that later if we even get to it.
They're what? Why
They're
do they need a rework?
reworking, so they're doing sunsetting, which means like all weapons and armor have like a time period, and then they stop being able to be used
What?
in like
Wait.
in like raids and like Iron Banner and Trials of Osiris.
I'm
So like
sorry.
your Luna's Howl
What?
won't be able to be played all the time unless you're in like normal play where like
Dude.
power level doesn't matter.
You don't know how hard. I mean, Nick knows. Nobody else knows how freaking hard it was to get Luna's Howl. If they're gonna, that's actually the dumbest thing they could do.
It's quite
We'll
dumb.
get
That's-
there.
okay,
Just
yeah,
hold
that's
on. We'll get there.
It's the angriest I've ever been.
I know.
Is getting the
Well,
Luna's
yeah,
Howl.
It'll come out in a sec. So,
Okay.
I remember. I think. I mean, I don't want to say this, but out of everyone, I think I played it the most. I played since the beginning. I was fortunate to have people to play with, and really, like we were talking about, and that's what sucks is that I had two buddies, and I tried to get them. They got the game, and I tried to get them to play, but they didn't. One of them had an Xbox and could play with me, and one of them had a PlayStation, but they just didn't like the game. So I think for a lot of people, the game just didn't suit them. Like it just didn't. Like it was very grindy. It kind of like if you were playing it and you wanted to like get the full experience, you had to like almost exclusively play the game. Like I think I only played Destiny for a couple
That's
years,
fair.
to be honest, because like I mean it was so fun. Like I had a good time, and I enjoy the game, so I thought it was worth it to play it, exclusively since like whatever 6th grade till like 9th grade or something like that. So for me it was like yeah, like I liked the game and it was worth it to me to play, but for a lot of people it was just like this game it's just too much, which is it's sad, but also it generated a group of fans that were small but very passionate. Like I was talking about the video, all these people commenting about how much they love the game, but it's they're that type of person and they were fortunate to have the experience they had, but it's I don't know, it's kind of like bittersweet when you think about it, because it's like you want everyone to have this experience, but not everyone enjoys that type of stuff. So it's just like, shoot.
Yeah, and it is true that game is really, really grindy.
I know. I know.
Yeah, it's gotten more so, which I didn't think was possible, but
I
it
know.
is.
Go ahead, Adam.
I would because they put a max cap on your power, right? And I would play it, but I wouldn't play it every day, and so I would get to the max cap, and then they would extend the cap with the next update like a month later, and I was like, so what's the point?
Yeah.
It could just kind of, yeah.
I still remember. I remember year one. I don't know. There's a video Bungie put out about year one, and I love that video. It's so good. They just put all the moments, and I still remember the loot cave. If you were on the Cosmodrome, and you went to this one area, there was this cave, and I remember following a guy there or something, and I just saw like 3 people on the rocks. They were just shooting at something. I'm like, what are they shooting at? And this guy like went up there and started shooting at them too. I'm like, what is happening? And then I realized that the enemies were just spawning and spawning and spawning, and you could just shoot them and then wait a sec, and then more would spawn. You'd shoot them, and the cave would be filled with engrams, like so much loot. They fixed it, which sucked because it was really broken. But it was just like stuff like that, man. It's just awesome.
Yeah.
Like you could spend hours there and get like 5 legendaries. I don't know if exotics. No, they didn't drop.
Yeah.
They actually put a little Easter egg to it later. There was this like dead hive crumpled body on the ground, and if you went up and like listened to what it was saying, it would be like, so many souls have died here. And it's like yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like Theoden, so much death. What can
So
one
much
do
death.
against so much hate or whatever? Man.
What can one do against so much loot?
So worth it. I also remember when the Dark Below came out. I think I pre-ordered it because if you pre-ordered it, you got awesome Sparrow that had like hot rod flames on it, and it was the only Sparrow in the game that could do flips at the time. So like if you had the Sparrow, you were like the coolest guy because you could do like you could hold R, and like do spins, twirl around, do backflips and stuff while you're in the air. And people like found a way to cross the Hellmouth on the moon with like boosting and using, I don't know, it was crazy.
I actually remember that too because my brother pre-ordered that, and whatever he got, I got because it was like the same PlayStation and stuff.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, dude, that was doing backflips on the moon was freaking sick.
I know. And
that's something. Yeah. Anyway, well, like, because in Destiny 2, like, there aren't really any unique speeders or anything like that, and it kind of just
I was
I don't know. Takes away.
I was gonna get into that. So I pre-ordered Forsaken, okay. And in the Forsaken bundle, it said after you finish the campaign, you get like all of these things. You get an exclusive Ace of Spades skin that was like black
and red.
and red. You got the Queen of Hearts ship. You got a what was the other thing? I forget what it is. But there was one other thing, and then because I also pre-ordered it, I got an exclusive ghost shell, a bow skin, an exclusive emblem that tracked how many scorn kills, and that's the only way that you could get it is like pre-ordering it like super early. So I did all that, and so I got all this stuff, and then later in the Eververse shop, they put the ornament for the hand and for the Ace of Spades, the ship, and the other thing. It's the emote, the shooting emote. They put them all back into the Eververse shop, and I was like, "What? So you just took away like all of my like uniqueness?" I was like, "Really?"
Yeah,
But,
it's a tough question to answer because it's like the people who don't pre-order are like, man, I really want that, but there's no way to get it. But for the people who did pre-order, they're like, yeah, we're cool. Look at this, and then later they're like, oh. Rip.
Yeah.
I think it should have stayed exclusive, though, in my opinion, because you know it's
I
meant to be
think that
exclusive.
Eververse is probably one of my least favorite microtransaction shops of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When the adventure
Also,
just come in
okay.
today.
Okay, one thing that did bug me a little is the last time I got on, it was like a month ago with Tanner, is they changed the what is it called when you you like upgrade a gear level?
Infusing?
Yeah, they changed it. And like they didn't
Yeah, you
need
have to
to.
use an upgrade module now.
Yeah. Like
Oh yeah.
they're legendary shards that you needed to use before,
So
right?
good.
And
I
then
think
like for
so.
exotics you had to have exotic shards, and it was like you're putting all this
You
extra
used
work into it that you like there wasn't a problem there before. Anyway,
you
that was
used
a gripe that I
enhancement
really
cores.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember when you could just infuse stuff and not even worry about it.
Yep.
It's just like what or whatever.
Like, oh, like I got this gun, but I like this gun. I want that. There we go. Like,
Yeah.
But
I forgot I have these Forsaken cards.
Look at this man. Dang.
One thing in my whole
So it's like
opinion,
all the Barrett. It's got like the Drifter, the Ace of Spades.
wait, what?
That's cool.
It's got like all the different like Fanatic, Petra.
Wait, did you get that for pre-ordering?
Aldrin is the Jack. I got it for pre-ordering. It was a poster, but then it gave me cards. Marasov, the king himself.
We'll get to that.
I love how the Ace of Spades is the Ace of Spades.
Oh yes.
Yeah, imagine if they didn't make it the Ace of Spades. Like, hey, look, it's the King of Hearts.
The other Joker's the Spider.
That's cool. That's cool.
It's gonna go on my video game shelf because I'm making one. But it was just such a. I think maybe we can start talking about for like Forsaken and Destiny 2, and like I played through like Warmind and Curse of Osiris, and I know you did too, Justin, and probably Adam and Connor.
Yeah.
But like Forsaken, like the first mission just immediately throws you in, and you're just like, oh, Cade's here. Whoever this other person is, this Awoken, like, okay, we be chilling.
Petra.
And
Petra.
you go into, I remember the first thing, walk into, and like things are on fire, Cabal are flying over the place,
Yeah.
Vandals and stuff are like cutting at each other, and just it's utter chaos. And I was like, oh boy, this is gonna be intense. And it was that thing that like drew everyone in. And then the final stand cutscene.
Oh,
Yep.
man.
It sucked, like not because it was bad, but because like the pain of losing Cade. But like I don't know, Forsaken just had so much wonderful content, and it was like the Taken King. And it brought the Last Wish raid, which is the biggest and most complicated raid like out of all the raids.
I want to talk about raids later on. Anyway, keep going.
Yeah. And there's lore and stuff behind it, how you can keep playing it and it makes sense. Whereas all the other raids, you're like, oh, you killed the boss. Oh, secretly they're back. But in Last Wish, it actually works because you're wishing her back alive and she grants wishes. I don't know. That's another day. I'm not. My name is Bife. Sorry. But there was just this, like, it brought the Tangled Shore, the Dreaming City, which were both really, really cool. But then after a while, there was just so much grind and like other things. Like that was the thing that really like started turning me off from Destiny 2 is it just kept ramping up the grind just a little bit each season.
Yep.
And it just got to the point where it was kind of unbearable. And then Shadowkeep dropped. And I was like, dang, this is about to be another like Taken King thing because we're going back to the moon. The Hive are getting like a reskin. They're all red now. And I was like, shoot, dude. Like we're going to go in this thing and it's going to be like reliving the moon mission from Destiny 1 because I remember playing that and I was like, holy crap.
Ooh,
like
the Temple
you
of
feel
Crota.
puny.
I love that mission.
finding the guardian just laying there in the moonstone.
Shadowkeep was okay. It wasn't for
It was
second
alright.
levels good, but it was fine. It was like, you know.
It just left you on a cliffhanger, and now they're doing stuff with the darkness, which is just complicated.
Yeah. Shadowkeep is where I stopped. That is where I stopped playing.
I stopped 3
stopped
seasons
before.
after it.
I didn't even do any of the Black Armory stuff.
Oh,
I had like
Black Armory was
I
not
didn't do
bad.
that either. I had like 3 different like break periods, but I think, well, 2 breaks and then I stopped playing. My first one was after House of Wolves, and because I remember Dark Below coming out, the first DLC for Destiny 1, and I had as a like how I don't remember how old I was, like 13, 14, and I had never experienced DLC before. And so the first mission that my friend and I played, I was freaking out because it felt like a whole different game. I was like, what is this? What's happening? There's like the hives are insane. There's green stuff going everywhere. I don't know what's happening. And this feels so different. And my friend is like, dude, have you never like have bought DLC before? I was like, no! This like completely changed the game. But after that, like after a little bit, I was like, oh, okay. It's not that like it didn't change that much. It just added it to it, you know? And Crota's End, I think, is maybe not, it's super easy, it's not very long, but it's super fun raid. So when we talk about raids, I think like Crota's End was just so much fun. And then House of Wolves came out, and the Prison of Elders, which I think is controversial because some people were like, oh, it should have had a raid, and I'm like, the Prison of Elders was cool, man. Like you had 3 different arenas for the different enemy types, and you like fought bosses, and it was just fun.
Yeah,
like,
I remember that. That was a freaking sick.
I wish it was maybe like bigger and you could play it with 6 people, but still like 3-person fire teams. It was still fun because it's like it was harder and you had to like strategize. It was just fun. Like raids are like they're like intricate and complicated and require a lot of like skill and coordination. Whereas Prison of Elders was just see that enemy over there, shoot it with a rocket. You know. Stuff.
I think that's something that like I feel like Destiny 2 has lost a little bit of is like the strategy. I hopped on a couple days ago with my brother because they're doing Festival of the Lost stuff because it's almost Halloween. And I was playing with him, and I'm extremely underleveled, like way underleveled. And so when the enemies are higher level, they have a sword or they have a skull if they're even higher, or a skull and a sword, and then you know that you're screwed.
Yeah, it's like an icon next to their health bar.
Yeah, exactly. And I started saying like I'm having fun for once because I was so underleveled and I had to strategize how I was going to take things down. Whereas if you're on par with the level, you're like, oh, enemy dead. Like it just felt like
I will respectfully,
there was just this immense power.
I'll respectfully kind of disagree with you there. I think what Destiny 2 lost a lot of they changed it in the beginning. Like I remember they made like a video and they were like, we're making you Guardians feel like awesome again, because I think to me that's what was fun. Like it's like you blasting a lot of enemies. It was still hard at times, but like just you felt so powerful using your supers, using all these rockets to just mow down enemies. But then like it made those like boss fights way more like fun, and especially like they could just throw a bunch of enemies at you and you would struggle, but you'd be struggling and blowing stuff up, you know. So I guess in my opinion, Destiny 2 at the start lost a lot of its like they didn't make you feel super powerful. They tried to like dumb the Guardians down, so it was just like not as fun because you're not like using a hand cannon and one shot headshotting everything, because if you get skilled at that, then you can pop shots on all these Thrall and stuff and all the Vandals, and you know, but like then like captains came in, taking captains would throw that big sphere thing at you and like stun you and all that stuff, and that's like what made it more difficult.
Yeah.
Well, I was talking more specifically about the fact of like yeah, even when those things are higher level and everything, you can still like one shot headshot them with a hand cannon. the thing is that like once you're on par with the level, like you are powerful, yes, but then like there just never seemed to be a challenge unless the challenge was like completely broken challenge where like you would just die because you would die. And so it was just one of those things that was just confusing rather than, I don't know. I don't really know if I'm making any sense
No, I think
whatsoever,
that
but
makes sense. I think I get what you're saying now. I just I just think it's fun to still like have awesome weapons and like do like awesome like have those moments where you're like there are some moments like if you're a titan and you're just sliding and punching people and have a
Yeah.
shotgun out, or if you're a hunter and you're just throwing knives and getting headshots and stuff. Like that's what's cool. But again, like you do need that challenge of maybe stronger enemies or maybe a lot of enemies or enemies that can disable some of your abilities, or and then that makes like boss fights more fun because they have like you have to find out like their strategy and trying to like counteract what they're doing and make sure your timing's right. Like when the guy's gonna do a slam, you got to make sure your jump, you're in this position, and then that's when you can strike with your rockets or something like that.
exactly the strategy portion of it that was kind of is like you in Destiny 2, like the only there were at some points where I was like the greatest enemy I'm facing tonight is myself because I'll blow myself up by accident. Because like the strategy was, oh, just run in there and do whatever you want because like they're not going to be able to hurt you very much unless you have like
Yeah.
extremely bad positioning or you blow yourself up. But I think if we're, unless we want to talk about this more, I do have like a question to like segment us onto raids.
Um, I do have a little more to say about, I guess, like after House of Wolves, I took a break. I think it was because one of my buddies moved onto Xbox One, and so we weren't playing with him. And so I don't know why. I don't know if you couldn't. I'm trying to remember if you could even get Taken King on last gen. Maybe that's why I didn't play it. Because I wasn't late to Taken King that much, but I didn't play the first little bit of it. But I got into it later when I finally got my Xbox One, because like I think I got an Xbox One and then my friends like invited me to a party and like, dude, you have to buy this like right now, and I was like, okay, and I went and like bought it. And so I think the Taken King for me, like for a lot of people it was like that big moment, but I don't think I had that like introduction. Like I look back at it and it was like awesome, but I think the King's Fall raid is my least favorite out of like all the Destiny 1 raids. And I don't know if that's because I didn't play it first or if I just didn't like how it was. I don't remember, but I do remember loving how much the Taken King added to the story a lot. Like it just like the story with Oryx, and you played through the missions and you fought Oryx at the end and you killed him. And I was like, wait, I thought the raid was about Oryx. And they're like, oh, just wait, buddy. And then I remember seeing the video of Oryx gigantic climbing out from the thing. And like I remember when I first played the raid, I was like, oh, I gotta do something because we were waiting for him to pop up. And like I ran over to the edge and watched him come up, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna die. Like it was so scary, but it's just awesome. Like it had a different feel for sure, but I loved the new location, the ship. That was a cool place.
Yeah. That's probably where I spent most of my time in Destiny 1 is that ship.
And that ship, it does have a
The
different feel
Dreadnought.
compared to like other locations. Like it just has a different look. Even like going into hive places like the Hellmouth on the moon, like it has a different like look and feel. And it was kind of like eerie, and a lot of like the items you found and the enemies you fought had like this gnarled kind of like, I don't know, jagged look to them. It was just really cool. And I don't know how many of you played Rise of Iron, but um,
Yeah, that's where I stopped with Destiny 1.
I liked it. I think it had the one of the best stories, like the Taken King. I guess sorry, I know you wanted to talk about raids, Nick, but we'll talk about
Oh,
that in
you're
a
good.
second
Keep
because
going.
I think the biggest criticism I hear towards Destiny 1 is that it doesn't have a good story. And every time I heard that,
What?
I was like, what? Like, they were talking more about the base game, and I was like, even then, like,
Oh,
still, it wasn't great, it wasn't awesome, but the game, like we said, was more focused for multiplayer. It was more focused on like the raids and the strikes rather than this epic story. So I thought it was fine. Like I thought, we're going to destroy a piece of the darkness. It's still gonna come, but like we had to figure out a way to get to the Black Garden and all that stuff. And I thought the Black Garden was awesome.
that was a cool place.
And
Yeah.
then
Dude, the
it
Black Garden's so
introduces
cool.
Crota. You have to fight Crota, and then you find out Crota has a dad, and you're like, what? And House of Wolves had added more to the Awoken and the Queen and Uldren Sov, and you had to like
hmm
fight Skolas and the Taken King. You had to fight Crota's dad, and they were trying to bring Crota back alive. And was it Destiny 2? Were they doing that? I don't remember.
Um.
I remember a
I,
mission where they were trying to like revive Crota or something.
yeah.
I think
I'm honestly not sure if it was 1 or 2,
I don't know,
but
but I think the Rise of Iron it was like a plague, the Siva, and it tied like you saw Lord Saladin when Iron Banner came around. You're like, dude, this guy's awesome. He's got wolves.
yeah.
But this like Rise of Iron added so much to his character because you find out that he had to like lock his fire team away in order to not let Siva escape. I forgot what happens that makes it come out, but it starts like infecting the Fallen. So you have kind of a new enemy
The
type.
Fallen entered
Yeah, I
because they
guess.
wanted,
Yeah,
they
they
were
went
attracted
in.
by Siva.
And I just thought it was a cool story, and the new location, the mountain with all the wolves and stuff, I thought that was cool. And you became like oh shoot, what are they called, an Iron Lord. That was awesome when they told you like you're an Iron Lord now, and you're like, dude, yeah. It was sick. But the raid, when we talk about raids, Wrath of the Machine it's just one of the coolest raids I've played.
Is that the so Wrath of the Machine? That's the Rise of Iron.
Yep.
Okay.
Do you want to talk about raids now?
Sure. I was just
Yes.
gonna ask, like, Destiny 1, because I didn't play a lot of raids. I only played like Vault of Glass. But like favorite and least favorite raid, both of you, for Destiny 1 and Destiny 2.
Um. Okay. Well, I never did any raids in Destiny 1, so yeah, that's my extent of Destiny 1. Destiny 2, I've only done Leviathan. I haven't completed it, but I have tried to solo Last Wish, and let me just say that is a fun time. Last Wish is probably my favorite, but
My favorite raid from Destiny 1, Nick already knows, it's Vault of Glass. And I think like if you want to rank it, I think I'd do Vault of Glass, then Crota's End, and that's probably a lot of bias because I just had so much like, experiences. Because I think that was the big time. Because I met this guy on Venus. I saw a video and it was like, dude, there's dragons on Venus. So I told my friend, I'm like, dude, let's go find these dragons on Venus. And we just saw this guy like running around shooting stuff, and I think he was like helping us or following us around. So I invited him to our party and was like, dude, we're looking for dragons. He was like, okay, and just like followed us, and we became friends. And like he joined our fire team, our raid group, and I played a lot of Crota's End with him, so that was fun. And
Was that
then
Leaf?
no, it was Plank.
Oh.
And
Oh, yeah.
under Crota's End, I would put Wrath of the Machine, and then King's Fall. And I I like all D1 raids over D2, so under that would be Last Wish. I didn't play any of the raid layers. Oh, I guess Prison of Elders doesn't count. So yeah, Last Wish after King's Fall, and then the Leviathan is, Last Wish is here. Leviathan is not even on the screen. I hate it. It's stupid. I hate it. Ugh. So dumb.
I guess my ranking for D1 raids is Vault of Glass is best and Vault of Glass is worst.
So
It's the only
it's a
one
good
I've
list.
played.
That's a good list.
It's a good list. Yeah. For Destiny 2, because I played all but the raid layers, I've got to put Scourge of the Past as first because that one you fight in the city and you fight a giant
Isn't that a
robot.
raid layer, though?
It's not a raid layer, but it's as much as a raid layer. I don't know. It's a little bit. I don't know. It's really good, and it's my favorite raid from D2. Then it would go probably Last Wish, and then I'm trying to think. Probably the Leviathan. Then no. I'll explain why here in a second.
No, I don't care. It's your opinion. I just hate it.
And then because these other two are even worse than the Leviathan, which I didn't think was possible, but it is. What's the new Vex one called? It's in the Black Garden. I can't remember what it's called.
New one?
Yeah, the new raid. It's not the newest raid, but
Did Shadowkeep have a raid?
yeah.
Did we do it? Did you do it?
No,
I
we
did.
never did. I did it. Oh, Garden of Salvation.
I thought what?
So Garden of Salvation and then Crown of Sorrow, because Crown of Sorrow literally makes me want to eat gravel.
Which one's that?
It's so bad. You're underneath the Leviathan,
Oh, it's one of those.
and it literally has the worst mechanics ever. The first encounter takes like 10 minutes, and that's like fast because you have to switch a bunch of stuff around and everything, and there's so many little tiny mechanics that like for the final boss encounter that if you don't do absolutely perfect, you will lose all the time. And even if you do it perfect, guess what happens? You still can fail. So it was I hate that raid. Like I can deal with the Leviathan because I don't know why, because I guess dealing with Crown of Sorrow is terrible, but it sucks. Like it's so cool and it's really cool because everything is like wide and expansive and it's a beautiful thing, but it literally makes you want to like die because you just can't nail the encounter.
I think out of all the Destiny 1 raids, King's Fall is the most akin to what a Destiny Route 2 raid is most like. Because there are some things, like King's Fall, it's really cool. I love the final fight, but again, even the final fight, like the way you damage Oryx is kind of weird, or at least the way we did it. Because you could do it in multiple ways, and I can't remember exactly. I just know something about you had to kill some ogres and they would create like blights in all these different corners. And the way that I would usually do it with the people I was playing with was to, if you put all 4 blights in the corners, was it 4? I don't even remember. And then I forgot how you even detonated them, but if you detonated them, it just did a big chunk of damage to Oryx. So we just do that and rinse and repeat, if I remember correctly. But I do know that there's at least a point where you can blow up like the individual blights and do some damage to him. And there was like that special gun, forget what it's called, that you can literally shoot infinitely at Oryx. It only like it was a raid weapon, but it was for that raid. Like it was okay everywhere else, but if you
Wasn't it a pulse rifle?
It was a scout rifle or a pulse rifle. I don't remember.
It was like curved and had like a knife in front of it.
It had like some cloth on it, and then in the middle it had this like rotating like black thing, and you could just keep shooting at Oryx.
Forever. I thought that was an exotic.
I think it is.
It is an exotic, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, it's just like I love when raids are complicated and they require like coordination, but when they get to a point where it's just like just so insanely bizarre, it just is no longer fun, which is I think why I didn't like Last Wish that much, because I never actually fought what's its bucket. What is the big boss called, Nick?
Riven.
Yeah.
I never actually fought Riven the normal way. We cheesed it every time, but I heard something about you have to shoot certain eyes in certain order, and I was like, no.
So, do you want the full explanation of
No,
the boss
not
encounter? Not the
really.
full, but like the quick.
I just want to rant about why that's so complicated. Like you have to know what eyes to shoot, and I was just like, when people explained it to me, I was like, what are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense. Can I just go back to having having the raid split up into different places, grabbing a shield, shooting some oracles, going to the middle, and blasting Atheon into smithereens. It's coordination. Like if someone messes up, you guys lose, and that's how I think it should be. But it's just like some parts of King Fall and lots of Destiny 2 raids are just so insanely complicated to the point where they're not, like, they don't feel fulfilling. Like it's a relief once you finish it, but it's a relief because you're so done with
On
the
with
mechanics,
the death.
rather than like feeling good that you did it, you all did perfectly, you played your part and you beat the boss.
I'm gonna compare Garden of Salvation to Vault of Glass, because what you said reminded me of that. Is you split off into two separate groups, and then you collect things, and you come back and you do a damage phase. And in Vault of Glass, you do the two side things. You pick up the shield, then you do damage. I don't remember exactly how to do it because it's been a while,
Oh, you're talking
but
about
that's
what is it called?
Vault of Glass.
Well, no, not that. The boss that
You like teleport into other
what's his
world.
name?
Atheon,
What's it? Not.
isn't it
Oh, you're
Atheon?
talking about Atheon. I thought you were talking about the freaking what
The
is it?
Hydra?
Hydra.
No, I'm talking about the two final boss encounters of Garden of Salvation
The
and
Templar. That's what it is.
the Templar and Atheon. So you both are fighting giant minotaurs in both of them. They both have wipe mechanics. They both have all of these things. But what's interesting about it is there's so many little tiny things going on in Garden of Salvation that are playing against you that aren't happening um in Vault of Glass. In Vault of Glass, like even though I did not enjoy dying and then not being able to revive, it was very polished. There wasn't glitches, there wasn't bugs, there wasn't things like working against you that weren't polished. Whereas in Garden of Salvation, that was the case. And it like you played. You guys know what Gambit is, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So you basically played Gambit in the raid. You had to kill things, gather motes, come back, deposit them in the right thing to get a buff to destroy shields. So that way you can get to a point of once you have a certain amount of motes, then you can damage the boss. Well, that's the thing, is the spawns were all janky. If you didn't do it right, then certain things went wrong and all of these things. And you had to have certain weapons or certain things wouldn't happen. And there were just so many little tiny things that were working against you. Whereas I remember in Vault of Glass, like I remember we played with a guy, he popped the bubble and then you all like go in the bubble, then go out of the bubble and shoot your rockets, go back in, go out, shoot the rockets, go in, go out, shoot the rockets,
So
which
good.
it's so I don't want to say it's easy, but it's so much easier than Garden of Salvation because you have to do motes, then you have to kill the other Vex, then you have to line up a Vex conduit thing with 3 people, that has to be absolutely perfect. And if it doesn't, then you wipe. And then you have to run over to the other side, place down the bubble and the other thing, and then you have to fire the stuff. And even then, he has a certain amount of damage phase time. It was just these so many little tiny things that just made it like, why do I want to play this when the game is actively like fighting against me? Whereas in Vault of Glass, it was kind of your own, I don't want to say stupidity, but kind of like your own fault if you messed up. It was like, oh, we didn't coordinate that, so we've got to do it again. Whereas in Garden of Salvation, it's like we coordinated and we did everything perfect, but because the game is not polished, the raid is not polished, we failed. I remember
Yeah.
doing Garden of Salvation for 6 hours straight without finishing it.
Yeah, and like that happens, but I think it's just Destiny 1, all the raids, they're more about coordination than they are just like complicated for challenge, which I know this sounds weird cuz you think like you guys could get a rhythm down, and you can. Like some people can like one phase things because they just do it well, but that's after a lot of tries. Like you, when you're fighting the Templar, you have to have someone has the shield and they're running the shield, so they have to worry about cleansing people, but you can avoid the kind of curse put upon you if you destroy all the oracles. But that is not complicated. It just requires coordination because you have to make sure to put people in the right places, and those people have to figure out which oracles they've destroyed and make sure there aren't any left. And even if an oracle's left, you get the curse, you go to the shield guy, he cleanses you and you're all fine. So it's like, maybe that sounds easy, but you want to just get all the oracles because there have been times where we get a curse and someone's so far away, and maybe the shield guy doesn't have the kind of cleanse bubble recharge, so you all die because one guy dies. So it's more about teamwork, I think, than just making and then just like like complicated precision, because you get all
It
the
it
oracles,
it
and if you don't, you can cleanse, and then you have to wait for the blast to recharge on the shield. You shoot the Templar, it takes his shield down. You all shoot him, and then it resets, and you just keep doing that. But you have to make sure you guys are in a rhythm, and there is a little room for error, but that doesn't make it easy at all. It just makes it not as frustrating because it's like, oh, one of us is cursed. Oh, we have to wipe now. Like some people might wipe because they didn't get all the oracles, but that's just because they don't want to have to worry about cleansing and making sure everyone's cleansed. They just want to get like a clean run.
and I think that's where it runs into Destiny 1 seemed like the raids were skill and practice, whereas Destiny 2 was kind of a luck-based system. Whereas I think Destiny 2's most polished raid is Scourge of the Past. The reason why is because the boss felt like the way it did in um, Vault of Glass. There were a few wipe mechanics, but it was because you had a certain amount of time. But if you fulfilled everything that you had to do in the time and you were working with your team and your team coordination, you were able to kill the boss. And there wasn't any big thing fighting against you. And there weren't glitches or things. There were vandals that could one shot you if you didn't have somebody targeting them. But once again, it was a team coordination. It wasn't luck based. Where a lot of like Garden of Salvation and Crown of Sorrow, that's the way it seemed. It was more luck based rather than team based.
Exactly. And I think Crota's End, like the fight against Crota is the highlight of that raid. I mean, it's cool to like be running through kind of this eerie dark place, kind of like a horror thing from Thrall. Like that's fun and cool. And like Crota's End is filled with those cool moments, and it's not very long, no. But you finally get to Crota, and it sounds simple because all you have to do is make sure you killed the sword bearer, pick up this one person picks up the sword, and then stuns Crota so you can all shoot him. Like that sounds simple, but it wasn't easy. I remember we were playing Crota's End and it was getting super late, and we were just so sick of it because we kept losing because someone would die or the sword bearer wouldn't do enough damage, and I don't remember why we kept messing up, but I remember we just couldn't do it, and it's arguably the easiest raid ever, but we just couldn't do it, and maybe we just suck, I don't know, but and maybe we just weren't working together that well, and someone kept making mistakes because you had to make sure to kill the boomers because the boomers were shooting at you, and and then I
Darn
remember we were
boomer.
like frustrated and we were like, let's just go play Vault of Glass because Vault of Glass didn't scale up with the Dark Below, so it was like easier enemies. They were all lower level, and we couldn't even do Vault of Glass because our coordination was just
Oh
off.
no.
Like people just mess up, and then we'd have to wipe, and we just couldn't do it, and then we just gave up. And we're like, yeah, we're done. We'll do this some other time. I will say, even though Wrath of the Machine is not my favorite raid, it is I think my favorite raid experience because, well, maybe okay. I loved playing Wrath of the Machine because when we did it, we went in blind and we did it as soon as it came out. We all worked our butts off to get to the right light level. Some of us weren't even at the right light level, and we had to figure out the raid for ourselves. Like we had to figure it out. And I feel like you can't it's not as easy for maybe more casual players to just figure out a Destiny 2 raid. And not saying that we were casual players, we were definitely hardcore, but there are some people who are dedicated to figuring out how a raid works. But we figured it out.
Datto.
Yeah, we figured it out, and I forget how the opening area works, but it was kind of fun. And you fight this guy. Oh, what's his name? You fight this guy. You have to like do some depositing things, um, and like there's a lot of enemies coming after you. And yeah, the first part has some coordination, but Vosik, the dude's named Vosik. So you fight Vosik, and then he runs away, and you have to follow him into this place. And in this place, I think we spent so much time on this place, and it sucked because it had so much coordination. Because you had to fight off a bunch of enemies while Vosik was shooting at you, and then you had to pick up an orb and throw it at him. And I think you had to have two people throw it near the same time because it did damage to his shield. So you had to coordinate the people throwing the orb, and then we would damage him. But then he would do this AoE instant death attack, and for the longest time we could not figure out what the heck to do because we just kept dying. We didn't know what to do. We were running around like where do we go? Like what are we supposed to do? Are we missing something? And I think it might have been me or me and someone else, but I remember like we started just getting angry and just started like trying to figure out how to escape that AoE blast. And so we were less caring about the actual like doing it. So we were just running around, and I saw this room on the side, and I was like, what is this? And then I noticed that after a bit, I think I died, and I looked over with my ghost, and I saw this room. There was a shield, like it turned on like a force field when the blast went off, and I was like, wait, we have to go in there in order to survive the blast. And so we were like, oh, so then you had to coordinate people that once he's doing his thing, you have to get into the room before the door shuts. And there were moments where people like were sliding and the door shut at them and they died and we had to wipe. And I also like the next part after that is one of the most epic things in a raid ever. You get on this giant steampunky machine that's blowing gas fumes and flames out of it, and it's going down this track to your next destination, but you have to ride this thing and you have to fight off people to get to it, which was pretty difficult, and then get on the thing, and you're riding this giant wall of I don't even know what it was, and you're like ramming into a wall, and we were stuck on that for forever. And we had to like there was a part where it like broke down, like after it smashed through a wall it like broke down, and you had to find the repair. You had to go get the repair parts and bring them back and replace them, and then it could keep going. And that was just epic, but it sucked. I think we did it forever. I forgot how late we stayed up for this crap, we did it forever, and I think we like stopped and like did the final boss later because we're like, yeah, we're using this checkpoint, we're done. This sucked, but it was also fun, and we eventually beat final boss. We might have actually looked up some things for the final boss because he was pretty complicated as well. But we were in like the top 1%, 2% raid teams that actually completed it, and that was a cool feeling to be like,
Really?
yeah. I don't remember the exact, but there's only like a certain percentage of players of teams who were able to beat it, and we were in that first little bit, and we were like, "That's a good feeling. We figured this thing out, and it sucked, and it was the worst, but it was fun as crap. Oh, such a good experience."
Yeah, like as a,
Did that?
sorry, keep going.
No, go on ahead, Adam.
Well, I don't want to. Well, I mean, I've only done one raid, and so like, I really don't know like the full extent of like what a raid is, but like the theory behind it is probably it could be one of like the greatest things ever to be in any game, like in my opinion, because like it's like you work together with all your friends to solve a puzzle while playing one of your favorite games, and it's like and it's a long duration, and it's just I don't know, because I think it's just a great idea, like of a game in general, and yeah.
Yeah, and like we said, it's not for everyone, and it's rough
Yeah.
when you want to do it, but you don't have anyone to play with, and it's like, I wish I could be friends with those people and give them that experience, but you can't. You can only do it with 6 people and stuff. But I
Yeah.
actually did the Vault of Glass without my friend first, and someone in the tower was just like, "Yo, you want to do it?" I was like, "Dude, heck yeah!" And I got the Vault of Glass scout rifle, which was awesome. I think also I got Fatebringer pretty early on as well, and people were yelling at me because they're like, "Dude, how the heck? I've been trying to get that. I've been doing this raid for like 15 times. I haven't got Fatebringer. How the frick did you?" And I was like, I didn't know this gun was that good. I mean, I saw all the YouTubers using it because it was like it was literally like the best hand cannon in the game. And I was like, oh, I got Fatebringer, and they're like, "What? You what?" And I was like, "Hey, chill out." I don't think I ever got Vex Mytho class for a while either. That was like the Vaulted Glass raid weapon, and it was a fusion rifle, but it was basically an assault rifle. So, yeah, it
Oh.
was pretty awesome.
Wow.
I think something else that I thought was really cool about raids was the fact that like you had to set aside time for it, and you would go and play, and like it didn't really matter if you were playing with a good bunch of people that didn't really care if you finished the raid or not. Like you could play the raid for like an hour and have as much fun as if you played it for like 6 hours because you were just with a good group of people who just it was fun. And I joked about it. We have another friend who was on the podcast a long time ago, but I was like, if he played this game with us, like we would be like playing and everything, and we got to be like, all right, guys, don't wipe, don't you do it. And he would just like, we'd be like, oh yeah, he would be the one that would just like look at everyone and then just jump off the edge and screw us over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, just because it was like, it would be a funny thing to do, like all of a sudden be like, oh, you don't need to die? Well, never mind.
Oh,
But the thing I
Yeah.
loved, the one thing I did actually really appreciate in Last Wish was the wish, where you could input wishes and go to a specific part of the raid. Because the first two
that
encounters
was cool.
be kind of annoying, and so you could kind of skip around and be like, oh, I want to do Morgoth, which is the giant ogre, which is a
Yeah.
really fun encounter.
Oh, I
Still
forgot
don't
about
understand
that. Was
it.
fun. That was
That's how I got
fun.
my favorite sniper. Is I went to the
Fun.
thing and I just found a chest without needing to fight anybody. That's how I got my
Oh,
favorite
yeah.
sniper for the Crucible.
Okay.
Like Morgoth, super super fun. Really, like I think that is like top tier in raid encounters.
That was good. That was fun.
And then you fight, and then you do the vault. After that, the vault is really complicated, but is also really well done.
I didn't know what I was doing there. People were just telling me to stand on this and jump then, and I was like, okay, that's cool. I don't.
That one's a complicated one. It's fun, but it's only like really, really fun when like you understand it completely, which took me like 5 times doing it and watching a bunch of videos on it. I spent too much
I
of my
have to
life on
rant
Destiny
about
2
the
raids.
Leviathan before we like this episode because first off, I hate how it looks. It is the grossest looking place in Destiny. I hate Nexus too. I think Nexus looks garbage, but the Leviathan is worse. The purple and the gold just don't mix, and the gold looks like creamy, like someone took a bunch of butterscotches and melted it in a freaking pot. I didn't even know butterscotch could melt, but that's what it looks like. It looks garbage. I already said I don't like the Cabal that much. So, like, we have to talk about story in the next podcast because I want to talk about
Yeah.
Destiny 2's story. But freaking, I hate those gladiator dudes with the 2 axes. They're all fat and dumb. The place has like weird plants everywhere. The purple again mixed with the gold doesn't make any sense. It's just the grossest thing, and I hate when you get transported. I not only hate that place for what you have to do there, but I also hate how it looks when you go when Callus transports you to whatever the frick he takes you. His giant head starts sucking you in for some dumb reason, and you have to freaking jump over all these obstacles. And the worst part is, if you don't time your jumps right and you mess up, you're gonna get sucked into Callus's face. But it's not just based on skill. Like Nick was saying, the game is working against you because there are scions. I used to call them Pisons. Honestly, I called them Pisons for the longest time. But anyway, so there were scions that throw grenades that shoot you into the air. And in this place, you don't want that to happen, okay? You'd be like, oh, I'm doing pretty good. Oh, I jumped over this thing, I dodged this thing. Oh, I'm in a good spot. And then BAP! And you'd be flying towards his face, and everyone would be like, oh no, what happened, dude? And you're like, a freaking scion. Like, and they're like, oh yeah, like that sucks. I'm like, yeah, it does suck, because this raid sucks. I hate every encounter in this whole raid. None of them are fun. The gauntlet part was dumb. I mean, I guess that was the coolest part of it all, because you had to do like obstacle course, but it was really complicated and weird. You had to coordinate,
and you fall into death
like if
traps.
the person had a symbol, you had to shoot what he didn't have or shoot what he had. I don't even remember. And then you had to run through this thing with a thing. I hate the dog part. We got stuck on the dog part and we had to give up on it because it's the worst, because they had a buttload of health. You had to do all
They
these
also
weird things.
updated it to where there's now 8 dogs instead of 6.
Anyway,
Continue, sorry.
you had to like I that sounds cool on paper. Yeah, you gotta sneak around and like make sure and like get these things, and then you can do more damage to the things. But in practice, it's garbage. You have to like the dogs were glitchy as frick, first off, and it doesn't help that we were playing day one, but they were so glitchy. Like they would be turned around, facing the other way, walking the other way, and you guys would be like sneaking past them with the orb thing, and they'd be like, "Oh!" Like the snake exclamation part thing above their head, like, "Oh my gosh, there's people there!" And then you'd have to be like, "Oh, we have to wipe because we can't damage these things enough because they have so much health because we didn't do all the other stuff and we didn't shoot the things with the crystal thing." And then you have to freaking what else do you have to do? You have to fight those stupid gladiator fat boys, and you have to lower the chains so they're all weird and balanced, and then it opens the thing. I don't even remember that part. I just remember it was stupid. And the Callus boss fight, okay. The Callus boss fight was pretty cool until the head part, okay? The head part's dumb. But actually fighting him is pretty cool. But the room is ugly as crap because there's weird purple crystal glass on the ground that you're walking on, and there's gold walls, and the dude looks like a piece of junk. He doesn't even like make him look cool, make him look like an armored cabal, but oh my gosh, it's just I hate it. It's the worst. I hate it. Although I do have a recorded clip on Xbox that was probably one of the greatest moments ever. Because Callus, if you don't do some things right, he does an AoE attack that blows you all up. Well, actually, no. Sorry. Once you do all the things, then he starts doing the AoE attack, but you have to take down his shield so he stops doing it. And we were playing for so long, and we were all so frustrated. And there was this one point where he just started doing the AoE thing, and everyone was like, "Oh, dude, we gotta wipe." And some people actually like wiped and died. And I saw like the revives going up, and I said no. And I was wearing Celestial Nighthawk, and I had the golden gun on, and I pull it out. It felt so awesome because I'm like, this is not happening. And I pull it out and shoot him, and he's like at like half, so it goes like boop. And then my friend shoots him a little bit because he didn't decide to die, and we take him out, and everyone's like, you guys did it? I was like, yeah, I'm sick of this thing. It sucks. I hate it. I'll blow this guy's face off with my beam of sun. Jeez. That was some transit level crap, guys.
That okay. Wow, I didn't know it was that.
Oh man, that's a topic for another day.
I hate that raid.
Transit though.
Jeez. Okay.
Yeah, Leviathan is very it's one of those things where it's like it can either go really well your way or it can go the complete opposite direction. One thing I really didn't like about the final boss encounter area was definitely like the purple glass and the random stuff, because I remember coming back from the purple room after you've just like shot all of the skulls coming out of his mouth to so you can amplify your damage, and you just come back and you're like, oh, purple and gold.
It's so ugly. So ugly. And all the guns and the armor you get, I put shaders on all of that crap because it was just purple and gold and white.
It looks good on certain weapons.
Nope. I'm sorry. It's just so ugly. I hate it. It doesn't even look like gold. It looks like that freaking... I already said it looks like butterscotch, but it looks like the scene from The Hobbit when they melt the giant statue. That's what it looks like. Just this yellow, shiny, goopy garbage. I absolutely hate it.
I think he's pretty passionate about this. What do you think, Adam?
Just a little.
I saw my face going
Just
red. It was bad. Every inch of ounce of my body, every fiber of my being hates that raid. But hey, if the boys want to play,
I should
I'll
make
play
you.
It, but I'll be frustrated out of my mind.
I remember we were playing and you were online. And I was like, "Hey, someone just left. Can you come help us with Purple Room?" And you were like, "Yeah." You came in. You were begrudging, and there was this one point when you do this thing where you hit stuff when you're angry, you just hit it like that. And I don't know if that even picked it up, but you died in the Purple Room and you were like, frick. It was quite funny, but yeah, I wish you both would have had the experience of doing Scourge of the Past and Crown of Sorrow, because I know you, Justin, would hate Crown of Sorrow even more than Leviathan.
Oh, and it's in the Leviathan, so it's the gold purple bullcrap.
Actually, no, it's gold purple, but it's covered in dirt, so it's just all brown and purple.
I can't decide if that's worse or better.
It's so much worse. All the weapons are
Is that the one with the
even if you put a shader on? No, it's a giant cabal corrupted by the hive.
Okay, I'm looking this up.
No, you're thinking of not Spire Stars. Spire Stars is a giant cabal with a done and stuff. Which actually you
Oh,
couldn't originally run phase.
that's worse than Callus. It's the gladiator guy.
Mhm.
Oh my. Ugh.
He shoots green fireballs at you.
He looks like
Green?
Mhm.
that is that. Why?
I thought he was gonna be like a straight up like he's chunky monkey wonky,
Yeah, he's a thick boy.
and I thought he was gonna be like
Thick
wearing like
boy.
full armor and everything. Like because I saw the emblem, his helmet is what is on the raid thing. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be like some cabal infused like night like hive knight infused cabal, and he's gonna be wearing like the knight armor and everything, but he's gonna be cabal.
Nope, just a
No,
thick boy.
he's shirtless and a loincloth and a helmet.
Thick boy.
Thick boy.
Jeez.
Yeah, that raid sucks. The SMG that you get out of it is super cool, but that's it. And also, all the weapons, even if you put a shader on them, they still have dirt all over them. So you got this nice shotgun. You're like, hey, let's make it like, I don't know, red because that's intimidating. Nope, it's red. I mean, it's dirt with a little bit of red in it.
Oh my. Oh. What
Yeah.
what the heck?
You thought the purple
I
stuff
mean, it
was
looks
bad.
actually. I prefer it over. It looks rusty.
Yeah, it's like rusty, but you can't change it.
That is dumb. But I like the rusty
Yeah.
looks cool, but it'd be cool for a little bit.
You should
Yeah,
look
we
up
should
the
talk about
exotic.
customization
Oh,
in the
that's
next
another good
podcast.
one. We should
All right. Well,
multi-series.
anyone else have more thoughts about raids?
Wish there was more and wish they were better.
Awesome. I'll end it there.
Yep.